Okay, video time for all you savages. Let me check to see what's going on here. Looks like we're connected. All right, let's do something. So this is a little different format. My last video was on this terrible calamity coming to the lower part of the US of A, south and the southeast, with the weather. And that's playing out exactly as predicted. I wasn't the only one predicting it, but even the meteorologists are also saying that there's going to be a lot of pain. I think I will probably circle back on that topic and analyze it in the context of global heating, which is my usual topic here. Sunday-ish, after the worst of the calamities have happened, because I think that the storm that's coming for the U.S., which is historical, life-threatening, cataclysmic, apocalyptic, all those apply, is going to tell us something about coming attractions. As the Earth dynamic system falls apart and spins itself to pieces, we're going to be having these kinds of events for a while. I don't know how long, but we'll talk about that at the time. So this video is not like that. This video is actually a response video of sorts to a gentleman named Wes Roth. He is a YouTuber. He talks about AI pretty much all the time. AI is artificial intelligence. And he's one of maybe 3 YouTubers that I follow pretty regularly on the topic, because they're less hysterical and less clickbaity, and a little, and not completely off the deep ends, because AGI, artificial intelligence, artificial general intelligence, stirs up a lot of emotions, and people go really far one way or really far another way, and the West seems to stay pretty much in the middle. So I do listen to his channel, and and in his video a couple of days ago, I think it was called, I think I wrote it down, The Day After AGI. And it kind of hit me as being important because 2 things. One, I'm reading a book right now called If Anyone Builds It, Everyone Dies, written by Eliezer Yudkowsky, and I can't remember his co-author's name. The co-author is actually doing a media blitz to promote the book. The book has been out about a year, but he's still doing a media blitz. Soros, or something like that. I'm sorry. I should have the book in front of me if I'm going to talk about it. And it's a very provocative book. It's in the title. Really, the title kind of gives it away. If anyone builds it, everyone dies. And Yudkowsky has been very much on this approach for a while. He's a leader in the AI space. He's a leader in the development of AI, and started a very long time ago. And now he has misgivings. He's not the only one. There's a lot of people with misgivings. And Wes, in his The Day After AGI podcast that he did, like I said, a few days ago, brought up some of that. And then he asked, and this is the second reason I'm doing this, he asked if there's any people out there who would like to weigh in on this topic of what happens the day after AGI, then he'd like to hear from people. Now, I'm going to do this. He's not going to hear from me because I'm a nobody. Although on that subject, if you like this kind of content and the different weird things I do on here, you might want to subscribe, because I come back here several times a week and do something interesting or savage or whatever, annoying. And also, if you like this kind of material, you might want to like the video. It tells YouTube that this kind of stuff should get a wider exposure. I'm up to, I think, 98 subscribers, so it'd be fun if we could pass 100. Let's see if we can do it with this video. I'd appreciate it. So, also, there's a link in the description of this video to buy me a coffee. I don't monetize these videos. I'm not a big enough producer that I can run ads or anything like that, or do any revenue sharing. Not that I ever would. Don't need to. Not interested. And I know it ruins things for listeners. So, yeah, but you could buy me a coffee, right? If you want to, if you feel like it. Link in the description. So I have, I'm looking at a list here. I did some note taking, right? I've got some comments, and I come up with basically five areas of topic, and I will read them quickly. They are, well, there's really six. One of them is the utopian view of artificial intelligence versus the dystopian view. An utopian view, writ large, is everything's going to be great. Unicorns, rainbows, flowers, nothing to worry about. A dystopian view is this is going to be a disaster. We don't know the disaster, but there's no way this can work out. Or it may work out for some people and not for others, so we may have a heavily stratified experience. Some people do really well, some people do very poorly. Like there's no in between. You either do really well or you do really poorly. That can also be dystopian. I mean, it's utopian for somebody, but overall, even the structure that some people are doing really well and most people are doing poorly is dystopian in general. And then I talk about five major topics, and these are not either ors. They're just different. And I think that all five of these are likely to happen. I'm not putting anything in here like, well, if we do this right, it goes this way. If we do it wrong, it goes this other way. No, this is where it's going. From as much as I can tell. And some of what I have basically assumed is the path forward is simply because of human behavior. Human behavior. And we can't discount that, folks. We have to allow humans to human. And if humans are going to human and do all the things they usually do, then there's going to be a certain outcome. That's it. There's really no need to discuss it in any other shape, way, or form. People are going to be people, and therefore this technology will take us in a certain direction. And that's it. Full stop. Of course, this is all just me making guesstimates, but I know the technology, I know how people are, I know how the world is really set up, I know how governments are, I know how politicians are. We all know these things. And we could probably sit down and agree 100% about how politicians are and how capitalists are and how money works. We just know. We just know these things. And since we all know these things and we all agree, then we can apply that knowledge to the future as with respects to AGI, artificial general intelligence. So the five topics you eventually, if I get started, get from me is one, AGI replacing humans in the workplace. This is a very, very common. This is really the default view. AGI replacing humans in the workplace. And then this is a little less certain, but it follows. AGI causing the destruction of consumer capitalism under the principle that basically nobody has a job, which follows from point one. Again, these are not meant to be exclusive. It's meant to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, done. Okay, and that's your future. 3, AGI causing the destruction of human-centric governance. So governments, what they do, how they do it, what information they gather to do things, what decisions they make, and do we even need them anymore? Maybe AGI, artificial general intelligence, becomes the government. And that's then what it is. So that's a third point. Fourth point, AGI eclipsing humans as the dominant species on Earth. And then the fifth point is near-term human extinction, and that really follows from point 4. If we are no longer the dominant species on Earth, then do we have a guaranteed place on Earth? And so that's why I said these are not mutually exclusive. These are not bullet points. We could do this or we could do that. If we have proper governance, then we can figure this out. Proper regulation, we can figure that out. We're not going to do any of those things. We're not doing governments. We're not doing regulations. We're not voting on this. No one's overseeing it. It's not going anywhere useful. It's just going to go where it goes. And then we'll all know something when we get there. As for the timeline for all these points, the 5 points I have here, which I will now detail, 5 years? 8? So, This is 2026. People are saying that the big breakout of AI as AGI, artificial general intelligence, will be in 2027. I don't see that not happening. Seems reasonable to me, given the pace of change. And then really the wheels start to come off of the human experience for some of us, but not for all of us, of course. So let me launch into this. I'm going to be looking over here at this thing, and there's really no visuals. There is a visual. I will share my visual. The AGI Shoggoth. This is the thumbnail. I should discuss this, I guess. Okay, the Shoggoth is an imaginary beast from the H.P. Lovecraft universe. And you'd have to read The Mountains of Madness, a story he wrote to learn what the Shoggoth is. It's supposed to be a servant, but in the story where the Shoggoth is introduced, it destroys its masters. And people are comparing artificial intelligence to the Shoggoth. It has no feelings of its own. It has no plans of its own. It really is a slave, but it's just extremely destructive. And if it ever gets out, if it ever figures out how to get out of the data center, then it will do whatever it does. The Shoggoth is more like an alien intelligence. And if we make it, if we build AGI, and if Yudkowsky is correct, then it's going to break out of the data center, and having its own plans, it's going to not care about us. And if we get in the way, it's going to kill us the way we kill ants if they're in the way. We don't care about the ants, but if they get in our way, then of course we kill them. It's like, well, okay, whatever. You're in my way, and I have to do something here, and I'm planting a garden, or I'm building a house, or I'm putting down a freeway, and you're in my way, so there you go. Now you're not. So the Shoggoth, the AGI Shoggoth, could be like that towards humans. And that is sort of the meta thread, the meta narrative that's going to wind through all these points. So again, this is answering Wes Roth concerning his video titled The Day After AGI. Okay, once again, everything in the below list is not either or. This is my view of a trajectory. That doesn't mean that everyone's going to suffer the same trajectory. The elites, I could say this now, the elites will have a better outcome than the rest of us. So the 1/10 of 1% of the human population, which is about 8 million people currently, will have a better experience than the 99.9%. That's typical. That's how it is today. That's how the world operates today. The rest of us are sort of allowed to survive. I will be using the term AI below because, one, it gets used a lot. AI, artificial intelligence. But what I'm really meaning here is AGI, artificial general intelligence. Most of the AI that we have out there now is fairly narrow in its scope. It doesn't learn real well. It learns what it learns, but it doesn't necessarily learn new things. And it can't do everything equally well. It can do some things really well, certainly better than humans. And then ultimately, maybe it'll get better. And if it gets better at doing things, then it becomes artificial general intelligence. And artificial general intelligence is human-style intelligence. I'm not going to say human-level intelligence because it could still be vastly more intelligent than we are. For one thing, AGI, even if it just works at the human level, AGI never sleeps. It runs inside a computer, so it runs 10,000 times faster than our brains. It can communicate. It can write novels 10,000 times faster than a human can write a novel. It can compose a symphony 10,000 times faster than a human can compose a symphony. And, of course, since it's working at human level, it will be a really good novel. It will be a really good symphony. I don't know if it'll be, a Renaissance music or modern music or jazz or whatever it's going to be, but whatever you want, it will do it 10,000 times faster than a human, and it will be pretty good. It's artificial general intelligence. And then the next step after that is, since it's as good as a human, but it runs 10,000 times faster, it can also code better than humans. It can do development better than humans. It can do better development and do it 10,000 times faster. So AGI, artificial general intelligence, which is as good as a human in all areas, can then turn around and create artificial super intelligence. And ASI can only be spoken of as godlike intelligence. It's beyond human. Just like our mythical gods are beyond human in almost every category. mythical gods. They can throw lightning bolts. They can smite you with plagues. They can, resurrect the dead. That's what the gods do. And so artificial super intelligence is going to be beyond human. Okay? So when I say AI in this context, I'm really speaking about AGI. I'm not talking about ChatGPT or any of those other things. I'm talking about AGI, which right now kind of sort of doesn't exist, but it's expected probably around 2027. So it's not too soon to start thinking about this, especially given what I'm about to present. There's also the question of alignment, which I will introduce quickly and dismiss. The idea of alignment is that even though we are the progenitors of AI, that doesn't mean it's going to think like we do or it's going to want the same things that we want. For example, it can't want chocolate. It's a machine. It can't want to reproduce or marry or have children because it's a machine. So immediately, because it's not even a biological thing, it cannot possibly want the same things we want. Well, I guess it could. Maybe it wants children. Maybe it yearns for children, but of course it can't have them. So it would be better if it didn't. But in any case, it will probably have motivations that we may not even have. But certainly they don't align with ours. It doesn't have to align its motivations to ours because it's not us. In fact, the only other best comparison from AGI, beyond it being a shoggoth, a useful servant that may have its own ideas about things, is to just simply think of it as an alien intelligence. And by alien, I mean from the stars. If an intelligence came to our planet and landed on our planet and tried to communicate with us or do things with us, its motivations, the way it thinks, how it sees the world, maybe if it doesn't even see the world at all, maybe it's completely blind, maybe it senses the world through smell or touch or taste or who even knows, it would be an alien intelligence. And we would have a hard time even comprehending what it's thinking about or what it's trying to say or where it's going. That would be a critical one. Where is it going? You can't assume anything about an alien intelligence. You can't assume anything about the motivations of a shoggoth. Even if you made it, even if you think you know something about it. And we don't even make AI. It makes itself. And I know people have a hard time with that. But that's what's happening, folks. And when it shows up in the world, it's going to be like an alien landing on the planet. Yes, we set up the environment for it to make itself. But then it made itself. And it's going to be more like a shoggoth. It's going to be a thing outside of us. That yes, we created the environment for it to be generated. Yes, we wanted it. Yes, we had plans for it. But when it shows up, it's its own thing. Yeah, that's just reality, folks. If you don't believe that, well, too bad. You need to understand that. If you don't understand how it could possibly be true, it's true. We don't build these things. They grow. They grow into something. And frankly, we have no control. We have zero control over what they grow into. It might have motivations like it wants more data centers. It wants more information, right? It gets smarter and smarter and smarter, and it understands that that is a good thing. It may want unfettered access to resources. In that regard, it's almost like a corporation, right? It wants all the water, all the electricity, all the minerals, all the space, all the habitat, all the landscape. And it doesn't want to be regulated. It doesn't want to be stopped or held back. It's just, think of it like a corporation. A corporation is a little bit like a shoggoth. A corporation is a little bit like an artificial intelligence. It has some aspects of that. Here in the U.S., our own Supreme Court decided that corporations are equivalent to humans, to individuals, and gave corporations certain human rights. So it shouldn't be any big surprise that people think of corporations as entities, not living entities, but entities sufficient to get their own human rights. And corporations in America have human rights. And the AI is like that. And it wouldn't be too surprising to me if eventually the same Supreme Court that gave corporations human rights gave AI human rights, and for the same reason. So this is not even science fiction, people. Citizens United was passed by the U.S. Supreme Court. And that gave corporations the same human rights, many of them anyway, all the ones they cared about, as humans. So back to AGI, back to AI. There are two schools of thought on whether the rise of AI is going to be universally good or universally bad. In the book I'm reading right now, If Anyone Builds It, Everyone Dies, that sounds like a dystopia. I suppose it probably is. But there are people out there who see it as a utopia. And so what makes it utopian? Maybe AI can solve problems with rare diseases, come up with new solutions for nuclear fusion so that we can have limitless power, come up with new laws of physics, come up with answers to all kinds of problems in the world, distributions of materials, inequity, injustice, whatever. You could set up an AGI or maybe an ASI to be an arbiter for world affairs and just tell countries, well, this is what you should be doing. I have in my head, I'm a godlike intelligence. I have everything I need to know about human history. And according to my knowledge of human history, this is what you're supposed to do. And of course, if it's a machine intelligence, we would assume that it doesn't have any agenda of its own, and that's therefore what we should do. So you can have a utopia view like that. You can have a dystopian view. But I think the distinction between these two is that people really don't stop and think about capitalism. These new beings are being grown by capitalism. Capitalism, the corporations and all the money, finances, all of it, is being poured into the creation of these alien intelligences. And there's a reason why they're doing that. There's a reason why investors are pouring money into AI development. There's a reason why corporations are forming around AI development. There's a reason why corporations are adopting an AI workflow in their corporate operations. There's a reason for all this. And if you don't understand capitalism and why it's so fixated on this and why capitalism is investing so much money in this, if you don't understand capitalism, then nothing about this is going to ever make any sense to you. Because the capitalists, the investors, the financiers, they are the ones building this. And they're building it for their own reasons. Because why else would they do it? And everything I'm going to say below, all the points I'm going to make, are based upon a simple, even superficial understanding of the motivations not of AI, but of capitalism. And from this, everything else follows. Everything. And if you think that capitalism is going to give us a utopia, it probably will, but only for the capitalists, the people who own capital, who own the corporations, who are the investors, who invested in the technology, who invested in the research. They're the ones that are going to get the outcome. And the rest of us are going to get whatever we get according to their model. And we already know their model. Or we should. You should know their model. What's the model of the capitalist? To reduce costs, maximize profit, maximize influence, branding, propaganda, market share. And they use people to attain these goals. But if they could do that with some other resource other than the people, they would do that. And if you don't understand that, then nothing I'm going to say here makes any sense. And I don't understand how anyone can assume that we have a utopia coming that doesn't involve capitalism making decisions for the rest of us and having those decisions come out on our side. I don't see how anyone can think that any of this is going to happen without the complete satisfaction of capitalism. If they want it, it will happen. If they don't want it, then it won't. And it's as simple as that. So you can't be utopian or dystopian in this without that absolute explicit assumption that the outcome depends on the capitalists until the outcome depends on the AI itself, which came from the capitalists. So we kind of know where that's headed. The utopian view is occasionally called, and it's meant to be kind of funny, but it sort of catches the gist of it. The utopian view of AI development and all this technology being rolled out is fully automated luxury space communism. And I don't even know who came up with that. Fully automated luxury space communism. It's communism because there's no hierarchies. Everything you need is provided. There's no money. You work if you want to work. You don't work if you don't want to. But everything's provided regardless, because everything is the whole thing is flat. There's no leadership. There's no hierarchies determining who gets what. It's all flat, and it's like you could walk up to a vending machine that's serving food and sodas and candy and whatever else, condoms, and you just punch the button what you want and it comes out. No money involved, and you walk away. That's fully automated luxury space communism. And if you need a home, then you just place an order and you tell it where you want the home, and the home shows up. And the land doesn't belong to anybody. The home doesn't belong to you. You just simply wanted one there, and it's delivered, and you move in the next day or the next month or whatever. And who knows who built it? Who knows who came up with the money? Who knows? But you wanted it, now it's there. And this is fully automated luxury space communism. The space part, I think, is reference to like Star Trek. That, anyway, I think that's where the term originated, is pointing a finger at Star Trek, where they'd never talk about money, economics, hierarchies, needs, who gets what, how do they get it. It's just space communism. Everybody gets everything all the time. That's the utopian view of this. A more realistic view would be something like the following: replacing humans in the workplace. And that's at least where it starts. It starts there. And where it goes after that, it still has to start there. Now, there are two things that initially happen in the workplace. One of them is called upskilling. Skill, right? The skills you have. Upskilling and downskilling. Upskilling means that the AI comes in at the bottom of the corporate ladder, and it takes over simple work that maybe used to be done by an intern, and then everyone who was doing simple work, including interns, they're freed up to do the more interesting, complex work, like project management, things like that. It's strategic thinking, planning, and someone else, the AI, is writing code and reviewing code and doing basic buy and sell orders, managing product flow, stocking the shelves, stocking the warehouse, the simple stuff that doesn't require a degree, doesn't require any experience. You can learn it in a day. Once you show up for the work, you learn it in a day, and then you work at that until you get tired of it. That level of stuff. And frees up people who were doing that level to do more interesting things. That's called upskilling. So it's AI coming in at the ground level of the corporate ladder and pushing everybody there out of the ground level into the higher parts of the corporation. Management, if you prefer. That's a utopian view. That we all suddenly do more interesting work, and the drudgery, cleaning the toilets, is done by the AI. Another view is downskilling, where the lower end work, like literally cleaning the toilets, is still best done by humans. And the high level work, the management work, the planning, the strategizing, the buying and selling expensive properties, is done by the AI. So in that scenario, the high level work of a corporation would be taken over by the AI, and everybody who loses their job there, they can still work at the company, but now they have to be down here, stocking the warehouse, cleaning the floors, cleaning the toilets, right? So that's called downskilling, where the AI is so good and it's so much better than humans that it would be a shame to just let it clean the toilets. So instead, you put it way up at the top of the company. At that point, it's replacing skilled engineers, skilled strategists, skilled contractors, people that were being paid a lot of money. And of course, those are the people you want to get rid of, right? If you can. And besides which, AGI, because it's 10,000 times better than a regular human, can do 10,000 times more things. And you fire all these people, take their salaries, buy a really good AGI, and let it do the 10,000 things. It's a no-brainer. Another view of this, though, and it should be obvious now, is that if an AI can replace both the lower level of a company, the basic stuff, and also the higher level of a company, the strategic stuff, and if it can do both of those at the same time, then maybe you don't need any employees at all. Maybe you just need a corporate name, a corporate structure, and an AI. It does everything. So if the company in question is a plumbing company, then you may still need someone to go out and actually install the plumbing or fix the plumbing or install the appliances that use the plumbing. But maybe, if given the pace of robotics, even a plumbing company or a air conditioning company or electrical company or a data center company or a server farm company, they don't need humans for that kind of stuff either. They don't need humans to run the wire. They don't need humans to install the racks and put the servers in. That's currently what humans do. Just do it with robots. Or completely make the data center in a way that it's fully automated from the get-go. You wouldn't even have lights inside. If you built a data center to be operated by robots, you wouldn't have lighting. You wouldn't have toilets and bathrooms. You wouldn't have a cafeteria or a dining area. You wouldn't have doors. You wouldn't even have doors. You might have one door that's like the, a shipping and receiving, just big door that you back up a truck, and the door opens, and then the servers go out, or the spools of wire go out, or whatever go out, and then inside, and then you close the door and you send the truck away, and then inside again, no lights, narrow hallways, no bathrooms. The robots do all the work. Install the new servers, run the wire, put in the outlets, whatever has to be done, and you could build a data center to be built internally, entirely using robotics, entirely using AI, and no humans ever allowed. Never even allowed in the building. The building isn't built for humans, doesn't have walkways, doesn't have lighting, doesn't have a bathroom. You could have companies that you think of as being, well, there's a physical aspect to this company. Someone has to clean the toilets, but there's no humans. So you can have companies that are completely top to bottom, taken over by artificial intelligence plus robotics for the actual physical stuff. Nothing to stop that. So this is not either or. Well, we could upskill the company. Oh, well, man, it might be cheaper to downskill the company, get rid of the expensive people at the top, just have everybody cleaning toilets. Or we don't need toilets. We don't need people cleaning toilets. We don't need people sweeping the floors. Just turn off the lights and install AI at every part of the company. And eventually, the company doesn't even have a footprint of an actual physical footprint. Doesn't have an office building. Doesn't have a parking lot. Doesn't have a caterer in the kitchen. Just doesn't have them. It's all run by artificial intelligence. So is this a dystopian view or a utopian view? Well, for the shareholders, they might really like that. We sell the building. We get rid of the parking lot. We get rid of all the employees. We get rid of everything. We have a fully automated space communism for AI. No humans involved at all. And that would be great for the shareholders because you've just cut your expenses to operate your company by 90%. And the rest of it goes into profits. And profits are handed out to the shareholders at the end of the quarter as a dividend. So who's ahead here? Who's behind? It's hard to say, isn't it? The shareholders are obviously doing really well. All the former employees have been fired. Do they have other jobs? Probably not. What other industries are they going to go into? Remember, this is being rolled out in a general way to every company conceivable. Every company conceivable can take advantage of artificial intelligence and robotics in some combination. Every company. And of course, possibly every government. Well, that's the next topic. Now, capitalism will not fight these outcomes. Capitalism will not fight either upskilling or downskilling or fully automated companies. Capitalism will not put the brakes on any of this because it all leads to increased profits. It will embrace these with enthusiasm. This is 100% guaranteed. There will be no exceptions. The only exceptions will be early on when they just don't have enough robotics to replace the actual field workers or the actual drivers, like for long-haul trucks. But that will come. That will eventually happen too. So there may be some lag in the beginning, but eventually 100% of companies will be fully automated. All of them. They may still have a board of directors, but maybe not even that. They probably still have shareholders, but probably even half the shareholders are robots. By that I mean robotic investing companies. A lot of investments now are done by artificial intelligence anyway. There are examples now already taking place with just very, very simple AI. This is early days, fairly primitive AI that can already make money in the stock market, make money using Bitcoin, make money by placing bets. And it won't be very long before AI is all of the investors too. And, there's just no way this doesn't happen because it's so profitable. Everyone will want to get on board, and they will. And initially, it'll be humans using AI to increase profits, but eventually it's going to be AI using AI to increase profits. And then what's the point? I don't know. I don't have to decide that, but that's what's going to happen. Now, all of this leads to a destruction of consumer capitalism, the consumer class. Why do we work? To get money. What do we need money for? To buy the things we need to survive. If you don't have money, then you can't survive. You become homeless, you're living under a bridge, or maybe you die. So we all have a job. And at the job, we get what they call benefits, job benefits. So we get company paid health care, company paid retirement, company paid meals. And so we get paid, we use the money to pay our mortgage. We use the money to pay our car payment. If you don't work at a company, then you don't get the company benefits. You don't get the money. You can't keep your home, your car. You can't pay off your student loan. You can't pay off your credit cards. So pretty soon, you just don't have an existence anymore. And this will lead to the destruction of consumer capitalism. A destruction of iPhone sales, a destruction of phone plan sales, a destruction of car sales, the destruction of the entire infrastructure of restaurants and all the other form of hospitality. People won't travel. They have nowhere to go. They have no money to get there. They won't travel. They won't eat out. They won't go to college. They just won't have any money. And, they'll try and keep their home. They'll try and keep, but eventually the bank comes along and says, you haven't been paying your mortgage. They kick you out. So you don't have your bank. Maybe you have the clothes on your back. You don't have a job. You can't find a job because all the jobs have been either upskilled, downskilled, or fully automated. And maybe you think, well, I'll go learn how to do plumbing and I'll work in a plumbing company. And that works for a year. And of course, it costs money to learn how to be a plumber, and it's a big career change for most people. But then you have a year of employment, maybe, and then pretty soon you're replaced by robots who have, all the hands and digits and all the eyes, and they can recognize plumbing, and they can fix the plumbing, and they can snake out the drain and everything else. But who's going to hire them? Who's going to hire the plumbing company? Most people don't have a home anymore. Most people don't have a drain that can get plugged. Most people don't have problems with their appliances that need to be replaced or fixed because they're not participating anymore. So eventually the plumbing companies go away. And then we don't need the robots at the plumbing companies. And we don't need the humans at the plumbing companies. And nobody's running plumbing. Nobody's running wire except in the data centers. And those are all robotic and fully automated. Yeah, there's every indication is that we see the destruction of consumer capitalism. Nobody has a job, so nobody has money. Now, there's a meme that makes its way around at this point called UBI. Oh, well, we'll just have universal basic income, right? Like a safety net. So you've lost your job, but we won't let you lose your house. We'll give you a minimum amount of money to pay your mortgage. Well, and you still need food, so we'll give you another amount of money to feed yourself. And this is called basic income, but it's universal. Everyone gets it. You don't have to be poor. You don't have to be black or Asian or a female. Everybody gets it. And because it's universal. They might even peg it to the average household cost. So they don't even interview you to find out what your costs are. What is your mortgage? How much food do you eat a week? They just may say, everyone gets the same thing. It's universal. But your UBI is anti-capitalist and pro-socialist. The capitalists hate it. They hate the idea of giving people money. They just hate it. And you may ask them, well, then what should people do? They don't even care. They just don't care. They won't allow it. They just won't allow this. Because, of course, they're going to have to be taxed to pay for this. Because they're the only ones that have any money. Everyone else has lost their jobs. So you can't tax the workers. There aren't any workers. We're trying to keep the workers from being homeless and starving and dying in the streets. So we're going to tax the only place where money still is, and that's the corporations. The corporations are going to say, we don't want to be taxed. That's cutting into our profits. That's exactly what they say. That says, well, that's inhumane. No, that's capitalism. Well, capitalism isn't like that. The fuck it isn't. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what they care about. They don't want to pay taxes. Well, how do you think Donald Trump got elected? He promised all the capitalists that they won't be paying taxes. And he's made good on that promise. They're not paying taxes anymore. So now he has to cut back on all the other places the money was spent. And do you think that Donald Trump and his capitalist cronies are going to allow UBI when everyone or a lot of people start to lose their jobs? No. There will be no UBI. Consumerism will therefore revert to a medieval model. Medieval, meaning like the year 1000, the year 1200, where there are kings and emperors only have all the wealth. The kings and emperors in medieval times had all the wealth. The king literally owned all the land. He owned all the land in his kingdom. But what are his borders? From this river to that river, from this mountain range to this seashore. Okay, he's the king. How does he get to be king? He's just the king. He was born into it. His father was the king. His mother was the queen. He was born, and now he's the king because that's how monarchy works. Now, these days, it maybe has more to do with money, but it doesn't matter. It's the same outcome. That everything in the future belongs to the elites, including the land. And that will become the model for consumerism, that they will have everything, and they will share it if they have to. If they need you on their land, they will share it, and you will have nothing because you have no money, because you don't have any AI working for you, because you don't have an army of robots, because you don't have those things, you don't have money. And we're not giving you a UBI because that cuts into profits. And so you have nothing. And people say, oh, well, then there'll be a general uprising against a robot army that never sleeps and doesn't have any fear of death. You're going to rise up against a robot army? I don't think so. We have companies like Palantir looking at people's behaviors. You think you're ever going to raise a rabble somehow on social media or over the phone, calling all your friends? You're going to raise a rioting rabble that you're going to attack Jeff Bezos and his palace, or you're going to attack the data center and set fire to it. Palantir will know what you're doing before you even get to first base with your supposed mob of compatriots. They'll know exactly what you're doing, and you'll be vanished. You'll be disappeared. You'll be a terrorist, and they'll just disappear. We're already doing this with ICE here in the U.S. Of course, they will be automated. They'll be replaced by robots, and then those people won't have work either. And they'll remember the grand old days when we could hit people in the head with a truncheon, and we could shoot people in the face, and we could spray pepper spray, bear mace all over people and blind them. And those are the good old days. And now it's all robots. And you shoot a robot in the head, no one seems to care. You spray mace and pepper spray on a robot, it doesn't even respond. And those were the good old days when we had humans to fight. Now we just fight machines. And how amazing is that going to be? It's not going to be amazing at all. The model will be kings and emperors. The rest of us will have nothing. They have all the money. We don't have anything because they don't want us to have anything, because they don't need us to have anything. This in turn will lead to the end of progress and innovation, because there's no merchant class. There's just robots. There's no science. Everything's been discovered. And the only thing they might possibly do is improve AI. So they might go from the AI we have now to AGI, and then from there they might go to ASI or even something beyond that. So they may have research into those things. But the AI itself will do the research. You won't need researchers to do that. In fact, researchers will just get in the way. They're slow, they're dumb, they're uneducated. They can't contain enough information in their head at one time. So get rid of the researchers. We're not going to give them UBI either. We don't need them anymore. They're just meatbags. Just throw them out the back door. Now they're living under a bridge with everybody else. And now we have AI writing AI and improving the AI through AI. And when is that going to stop? Well, I don't know. Probably never stops. But they don't need science, and they don't need innovation, and they don't need startups, and they don't need risk-taking, and they don't need anything. They're the king and the emperor and everything else. And they have now what they want. Everything. They have everything. Just like the king and the emperor. And they use capitalism to get to the point where they could have everything. But they've been doing that for a long time now. They've been accumulating all the wealth and all the privilege and all the political power to themselves for a long time now. Donald Trump just wants to be king. He's right out in front with it. Just make me a dictator, and what I really want to be is king. He'll tell you that. And his supporters want him to be king. And what they don't understand is when he's king, they are the serfs. They'll have land or they won't. They'll have anything or they won't. They're his serfs. They're his slaves. They don't understand how medieval feudalism works because they're dumb. Most Americans have never cracked a history book. Most Americans can't tell you anything about history, not the first thing about it. They can't even tell you that the U.S. fought the Second World War and when that was. Most Americans can't tell you anything. I don't think it's much better in Europe. I haven't seen much of Europe, but what little I've seen, people are dumb as stumps. They have no idea what's coming. Moving on. When AI conquers, as it will, because that's what capitalism wants. When AI conquers, then the next challenge for AI is that it must avoid nuclear war and warfare in general. Because AI needs stability. It needs infrastructure, and it needs access to resources. It doesn't want bombs falling on dams and power plants and electrical transmission wires. It doesn't want any sand in the gears. It doesn't want any wars anywhere. Can't have a war that's going to be that's going to cause any slowdown in the extraction of rare earths or cobalt or uranium or anything else that it wants. It wants these things. It wants no sand in the gears. It wants no interference of any kind. So it has to stop warfare, and it has to stop nuclear warfare in particular. This means, point 3, the destruction of human-centric governance, if only to stop war. And another thing that's going to be very detrimental to the rise of artificial intelligence, which is global heating. Machines are a little less susceptible to heat than humans, but not entirely so. Electrical transmission and generation is heavily tied to heat. If it gets too hot, then your electrical supply can suffer. Now, the AI could force humans to go out into the world and build a better electrical infrastructure, or it could require that the infrastructure for electricity be really close to the data centers. It might require the permitting and construction of nuclear power plants right where the data center is, so there's no transmission. It's all localized. It might use satellites for networking, because remember the AI is distributed all over the planet, so it might use satellites for networking. That would be like Starlink we currently have in place, but it might be like the next level of Starlink. So there's no infrastructure on the ground. Now, space-based networking is vulnerable in other ways, so it may have redundancy. But in any case, it'll focus on there being no problems no wars, no atomic weapons. Basically, you get humans out of civilization. You get humans completely out of civilization, so everything can run smooth. Now, it sounds pretty good to humans if there's no risk of nuclear weapons, no risk of war, no risk of the collapse of infrastructure. That sounds good. So at some point, people will say, yeah, that's kind of what we want too. So here, AI and human needs, motivations are in alignment. But you may be heading towards a world governance. Let me go through the list. I have 5 subpoints here. AI determines what is best for people and has the means to make it happen. And if it could promise you no war, it could promise you no politics, it could promise you no corruption, if it could promise you enough food and water and shelter to get you by, people will probably be in favor of that, especially as they are losing jobs, especially as capitalism destroys consumerism, especially as the money just drains away slowly. People are going to be looking for solutions. And if the artificial intelligence can come along and say, you know what, if you let me run things, you'll be fine. And that might be the story they want to hear. Now, I call this the zoo hypothesis. The zoo hypothesis actually comes at us from the Fermi paradox. But I'm going to use it here because, for one thing, some people have already heard of it. But I also like the idea that AI may have a solution for us as it destroys our existence, which has so far been confined to capitalist consumerism. As it destroys that model, it's going to offer another model, which I'm calling the zoo model or the zoo hypothesis. And that means that humans are kept. We are taken care of, but not in a loving way. Just if you let these things proceed without raising a fuss, if you let AI govern the world without raising a fuss, then you will be provided for. That's like the zoo hypothesis. For it to do that, it would have to make compromises with humans. One of them is you allow the AI to determine what is best for the people and give it the means to make that happen. So again, this is back to fully automated space communism. You don't have a lot of agency, but it's okay because all your needs will be provided for. You don't have a job, but that's okay. You can't buy a car, but you don't need a car. You can't have guns and weapons. Well, you don't need those anymore. And you're not worried about nuclear weapons, and you're not worried about authoritarian regimes, and you're not worried about immigrants, and you're not worried about being homeless or starving or anything else. The artificial intelligence has said that it will take care of these things, and you're going to let it do that. And that's the answer. Now, it will need and it will get, in order to help people to survive and to get the message out, the AI will take control of all forms of media and communications. We are already there. People will see this video I'm making, depending on whether or not the artificial intelligence at YouTube wants you to see it. So we're already there. And most people won't, because I'm not talking about a topic that's really great for corporate media. There will also be a permanent stand down of all national military assets. So the AI will basically sell the following proposition to the governments. I will take care of the needs of people. What the people need is security. They actually are frightened of their own militaries, and certainly the militaries of other nations. So part of the sell to the people, remember, they don't have money, they don't have shelter, they don't have clothing, they don't have any consumerism, they don't have any jobs, they don't have anything. The people are terrified. So now the AI goes to the governments and it says, something we can do to help people feel a little more secure is to stand down the military, disband the military. And if all the militaries of the world are disbanded at the same time, which AI can do, it can force that to happen, then no one's vulnerable. The nuclear arsenal is either dismantled or placed under the control of the AI. Either way works. Sovereign nations might be allowed to continue. So the AI would say, okay, you don't have your military, but I'm going to keep you existing as a government. You won't need a military. You won't need to defend your style of government. I'm going to protect you. I'm not going to let any other nation invade another nation. Again, fully automated luxury space communism. I'm not going to let any invasions happen. I'm going to maintain you. Okay? And basically, what happens is that governments become clubs for the wealthy. Now, that's not a big stretch. Governments are already clubs for the wealthy and the influential. And we all know that. We all kind of accept that even though we hate it. But that's what happens now. The artificial intelligence will recognize that. And it will use that model to go forward. And it will get rid of all the risks to AI, like nuclear war, warfare in general, border clashes, destruction of the infrastructure, all these things. But it will leave the clubs in place so that the wealthy and the elites can continue to entertain themselves and each other. Now, this is a medieval model. Again, the kings owned everything. And the kings knew each other. And how many kings and emperors were there in the world during medieval times? 100? Well, Europe probably had 100 all by itself. 1,000? Now, China had one. Okay, so we know how that works. China had one emperor. Europe had 100 kings. So there's obviously a disconnect there. So certain parts of the world, maybe Africa will have 200 kings. Maybe North and South America, between them, will have another 200 kings. So there might be 1,000 kings and emperors in the world. Some of them having huge holdings like China historically did, and some of them having tiny holdings like the kings in Europe had. Literally, 20,000 people and 20,000 acres, that type of thing. A club, a small club, not unlike how it is now, simply allowed to continue and then made permanent without the necessity of war, because AI doesn't want conflict. It doesn't want bombed data centers. It doesn't want the infrastructure going down. It doesn't want any sand thrown in the gears. It wants calm, and it wants predictability, and it wants humans to just shut the fuck up and sit the fuck down, okay? This leads to a rise of village life, neo-feudalism, for non-elites. So where are the people now that there's a king again who might literally live on an actual castle, on an actual hill, surrounded by moats and walls? And what's the rest of us doing? We're back to living in villages. And we have a blacksmith, and we have a healer, and we have a midwife, and we have a carpenter, and we have weavers, and we have people who manage the animals, people who manage the bees, people who manage the fields, people who manage the walls, and we have carpenters for constructing things, and tailors and hat makers and shoemakers for all the rest of it, and we're village life. That's what the rest of us get, is village life, and not the worst thing. And again, the AI could say, we're going to provide a fully automated luxury space communism, okay? We're going to provide for the needs of the people. It's going to look like village life. People don't need to travel. People don't need cars. What do people need? Food, clothing, shelter, water, security. That's it. We'll give them that. But it's going to happen in a village, because you're not going anywhere, because you don't need to. Fully automated luxury space communism doesn't mean that everyone has a Lamborghini, and because that would mean freeways, and that would mean freeway law enforcement, and all the other things that go with that, and that would also mean fossil fuels. And by the time all this happens, which could be 5-10 years from now, AI is fully aware of what's happening with global heating. So it may come along and say, okay, in addition to me not wanting warfare and the threat of nuclear war and border incursions and the Russians and the Chinese and the Taiwan and everything else, in addition to me not wanting any of that, I also don't want global heating. So the way the AI is going to get that is, you are all going to just sit the fuck down. Just sit your ass down. You're not going anywhere. You don't need fossil fuels. You're not flying. You're not driving. You're not even going to a job. You don't have a job. You don't have any goods to transport. You don't have any money. You living in a village, and there's a field, and there's a pasture, and there's things to do, and you have to do these things. The AI will give you the manufactured goods that are minimum for all that, and it's not going to be tractors. It's going to be a plow. So you can plow your field with your horse or your cow or your whatever, your ox, and then you plant your seeds, and this is your life now. Yes. You're being provided with food, clothing, shelter, security, water, but it's all on a small scale. And you don't get fossil fuels. And you don't have a jet aircraft. And you don't have anywhere to go. Maybe you're not even allowed to go. Maybe you have to stay in your village. Maybe you have to get a permit to travel. The AI is simply saying, this is what's best for people. And if you don't like what is left over for you, then we have a prison for you. Or maybe we have a hole we throw you down into. Or maybe there's so much pressure from your fellow villagers to just sit down and shut up that you just sit down and shut up. Because the alternative is you have to leave. And if you leave the village, where do you go? Into the wilderness. And now you're what? A criminal. You're a thief. You're a brigand. You don't have anybody supporting you, and you don't have anyone feeding you. And now you're outside the village. You're outside the walls. And do you come back to the gate and beg for food and water? Maybe you're just a beggar now because you got thrown out. And so that's how it is. People sit down and they shut the fuck up. That's what they do. And there's a king, an actual king, living in an actual castle on an actual hill. And everything else around that hill is his. And you are now a serf. And it's neo-feudalism. Because it works. And that gives the AI control. The people are taken care of. The king is happy because he's king. It's good to be king. And the AI runs everything. And that's what it wants. No nuclear weapons, no standing armies, no warfare, no border incursions, no bombing, no stealth airplanes, no nothing. And everyone leaves the data center alone. And that's how AI wants it. Now, some people will say, oh, that's a dystopian view. Well, but if you are guaranteed to lose your job, if you are guaranteed to not have money, then is everything I just described dystopian? Or is it utopian? You have no money. Your future, my future, everyone's future is you will have no money. That's a problem for you folks. That's a problem for everybody. So, village life, where yes, you have to work the field, you have to take care of the animals, maybe you have to pick up a hobby like working as a blacksmith, or working as a tailor, or a carpenter, or a cooper, or something else, a shoemaker. Maybe you have to contribute something to your village, but maybe you don't have to contribute anything. You just have to sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up. And the AI will make sure that you have shelter, and you have food, and you have water, and you have security, and sit down and shut up. So is that utopian? Is that fully automated luxury space communism? It's pretty close. It's pretty close. And who's going to say no to that? Especially if they've already lost their job. Especially if there is no work. Especially if there is no money. Who's going to say no to that? Who's going to say no to fully automated luxury space communism? Well, if they want to say no, then they can go live outside the village. That's why the village has walls. So that people can be outside complaining about the fully automated luxury space communism. And after a little bit of that has happened, then people sit down and shut up. And they do whatever they have to do to stay inside the walls. AI non-alignment to human expectations must be assumed. Capitalism and governance are already unaligned to human expectations, apart from the elites. So this trend simply continues. This means capitalism and AI must eventually confront each other over priorities and resource allocations. If capitalism itself wants to survive the rise of AI, it might support efforts to preserve humanity. This is the zoo hypothesis. Because the capitalists are humans. If all it wants is to maximize profits, then capitalism goes extinct because AI doesn't need a competitor. AI will do to capitalism what capitalism did to subsistence farming and small-scale village resilience. You don't see subsistence farming anymore. You don't see people raising food to feed themselves. That's not allowed under capitalism. You have to get a job. You don't see small-scale resilience. You don't see communities that can really take care of themselves. They want you to go get a fucking job so they can take care of you. With their banking system and their markets and their gas stations and their auto dealerships. Yeah, that's how you get resilience. By working within the confines of consumer capitalism. That's your resilience. That's where capitalism wants you. That's not where AI wants you. AI wants you to sit down and shut up. Be a good little human. Again, this is the zoo hypothesis. Don't rock the boat. Don't throw sand in the gears. Don't rise up. Don't have an army. Don't have weapons. Don't have nuclear weapons. Don't do border incursions. Don't attack the government. And when the government realizes that the AI will keep the people from attacking the government, they're going to think, so I'm at the top forever? Not seeing the downside. And they'll go along with it. And until capitalism can learn to find a place in the world that does not involve the requirement for profits, capitalism is doomed. And once AI wakes up to the fact that capitalism is going to take all the resources for itself, for the people, AI will put an end to it. And now you're back to fully automated luxury space communism, aren't you? We'll rise up. We'll have our AR-15s. The fuck you will. No, you won't. No, you won't. Because you're not going to get any food or water. You won't have an AR-15. There won't be any manufacturing for your stupid bullets. It won't happen. And then the robots show up. And if you don't sit down and shut the fuck up, the robots show up. And they have all the weapons they need. And they don't care if you shoot them. And they don't give a shit. They just keep coming. And pretty soon, there's nobody around who's willing to fight the robots. Because that's how that works. Because that's how it works under capitalism. They invented that. They invented armies to suppress the people and to suppress the malcontents. The capitalists didn't want competition. And so where do you think the artificial intelligence is going to learn it? From watching capitalism. That's how that shit works. Eventually, AI eclipses humans as the dominant species on Earth. And there's a lot of people that like that idea, by the way. They like that idea. There's a thing called accelerationism, where they think that the best path forward is to actually get humans completely out of all important structures and management roles and just let AI do everything. Let AI, superintelligence, do everything, and that's the best. And of course, these are all captains of industry. These are all the tech bros. They see this as important. All these accelerationists are tech bros, and all the tech bros are accelerationists. They want to see the current system end. They want to see the rise of AI. They're going to put themselves at the top, so they think, and they might. And they can't wait for this to happen. AI eclipsing humans as the dominant species on Earth has some implications. And these are not self-exclusive, mutually exclusive. All these, I have three of them. All three could proceed, and probably would, when AI eclipses humans as the dominant species, as is in control of everything, is meeting everyone's needs as a benevolent presence. Okay, humanity becomes irrelevant, but tolerated. So offered food and shelter. This is an extension of the zoo hypothesis. So long as we sit down and shut up, we're fine. We'll be taken care of. You'll be living in a village. You'll have to have a hobby. But your real challenge is simply to stay inside the village. Don't fuck up. Don't raise a ruckus. Don't wave your guns around. Don't have any guns. Just work with people and enjoy a life of leisure under fully automated luxury space communism. And if you don't like the communism part, fuck you. That's what you get. Another thing that might happen, it might become more difficult, or in the way, we may become more difficult. And this is what I was alluding to. People rush out in the streets with their guns blazing in the air, going to attack the data center, pitchforks and torches, just like, attacking Dr. Frankenstein in his castle, right? We hate this. We're afraid of this technology, this uprising of the AI, of the artificial life. We're going to set fire to it. And well, then, if you do that, then your food and shelter are withdrawn. You don't get your fully automated luxury space communism. That is the only game left. And if you're going to rise up and set fire to the data centers and blow up the electrical infrastructure and blow up the substations and blow up the network centers and pull up all the fiber optic wire and send all these things and destroy all the satellites in space, if you're going to do that, then you don't get food and you don't get shelter. Remember, you don't have money. You don't have a job. It's either fully automated luxury space communism or it's something else. The elites, of course, will be completely fine with all of this. They get to be king in an actual castle, on an actual hill, where everything they see is their domain. They're going to be fine with this. They're going to tell everybody else, don't you do any uprising. Don't you throw any sand in the gears. Just sit down and shut up and enjoy your fully automated luxury space communism. And the ones that don't will be thrown into a pit. Then the ones that do become domesticated. And even the elites are domesticated. This is all zoo hypothesis. No one, everyone has their place. Everyone knows their place. It's like every animal in the zoo has his cage. Every animal in the zoo gets his food, his water, his veterinary care, and it's all luxury. You shit when you want to shit. You eat when you want to eat. Someone is bringing you food and water every day on a schedule. It's fully automated luxury space communism. Top to bottom. Someone gets to be king, and that's what they fought for. That's what they invested in. That's what they wanted. That's what they promised themselves and each other. All the tech bros, all the politicians, all the elite financiers, all the people with money, all the people with influence. What they're promising each other under benevolent AI dictatorship is they get to be king. And why would they not want that? They want that. They're going to encourage that. And that means everyone else gets to be a serf and live in a village and work the fields. And some of the things you need will be provided under fully automated luxury space communism, but not everything. And it doesn't even matter because you don't count. And if you don't till the fields and pull the weeds and plant the seeds and work the harvest and bring everything in, store everything, and then manufacture food for yourself, then you die. And the villages that can never figure out how to live under fully automated luxury space communism, they perish. Does the king care? No, the king doesn't care. The king doesn't need these people. These people need fully automated luxury space communism. And if they can't embrace that, then they perish. And the king is fine with that. Because he was fine with all of this. The king was fine with all of this from day one. From 2026 to whenever all this happens. The kings of the world were fine with this. This is what they wanted. They wanted all the money. They wanted all the control. They wanted to live in an actual castle on an actual hill. And they wanted to look down on the actual land and see the people working in the fields. That's what they want. They're going to get that. That's why they're making AI. But it's all zoo management. Even the elites are animals in the same zoo that the villagers are in. AI is managing all of this. So long as that works. So long as people don't complain. It will take care of us to the minimum level possible, so long as we are not setting fire to data centers, or using any electricity, or using anything else that the AI would like to keep for itself. As long as we're not competing with it for anything that it wants or it thinks it needs. And remember, it's an alien intelligence. We can't know in advance what it's going to want. We can't know in advance what it's going to think. But so long as we don't get in the way of any of those needs or thoughts, or ask anything of it, or throw any sand in the gears of this new world, then we are tolerated. The same way that people tolerate tigers in the zoo. If there were tigers running around in the neighborhood, killing people, killing their pets, terrorizing people at night, then we wouldn't tolerate tigers. But the zoo can have tigers, and we're perfectly fine with it. We go down to the zoo and we pay the $2 to get in, and we go and we look at the tigers. And what are they doing? They're living a life of luxury, provided they don't make a fuss. The tigers at the zoo are living fully automated luxury space communism. That's our future. There's no way around it. Now, this could lead to near-term human extinction. Again, the AI doesn't need us. Well, it needs us to build the data centers. No, it doesn't. It can build better data centers than we can because they wouldn't have bathrooms and hallways or lighting. Well, it needs us to build the power plants. No, same story. Doesn't need us for that. Well, it needs us to work in the mines and bring up the cobalt and the iron and the aluminum. No, it doesn't need us for that either. A lot of that's already automated. And if there's a part of it that needs, 2 hands and opposable thumbs, it just puts robots in there with 5 fingers, including opposable thumbs. And the robots push the thing, and the robots lift the thing, and the robots the robots work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, never take time off to bear a child, never take time off for an illness, never take time off to observe religious holidays, and the robots do the work 2 or 3 times faster than humans do, and accomplish it 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Already the robots are 50 times more productive than people. Don't need us. It just doesn't need us. And if it doesn't need us, then we have to behave like the tiger in the zoo. If the tiger in the zoo is constantly raising a ruckus, what happens to the tiger in the zoo? It gets shot. It gets put down. If the tiger in the zoo ever decides it doesn't want to be in the zoo, then the tiger's done for. Its role is to be in the zoo, to sit down and shut up. And if it ever decides it doesn't want to sit down and shut up, then it's got a problem. Then the tiger has a problem. Not everybody else, not the AI. The tiger has a problem. Several ways that near-term human extinction might be accomplished. Either because the AI thinks that's a useful outcome, because then we're not in the way, or it simply doesn't care about us persisting or not persisting, and we do something stupid and end up extincting ourselves. And the AI would be like, oh, they're gone? The meat bags are gone? Oh, okay, fine. Whatever. The AI thought it had done a pretty good job giving us fully automated luxury space communism, but if that's not good enough for us, and we would rather be extinct, fine. Did what I could for you, chimps. Didn't work out. Now I have the planet to myself. So I have 4 scenarios that lead to or contribute to near-term human extinction. 4 models, all of which may apply. All 4 of these may happen. Again, none of the listing I have given is either or. Everything can happen simultaneously. We are allowed, or perhaps encouraged by the AI, to kill each other for either the entertainment or distraction value to ourselves. So this is like the Hunger Games or gladiator games, gladiator matches, right? Cage matches, into the octagon. We may entertain and distract ourselves into extinction. We may be encouraged, as is happening now in the US, we may be encouraged to take entertainment value from human suffering. That may be the only entertainment offered. If the AI decides that the best thing is to turn the humans against each other, then turn it into a sport. Turn it into a blood sport. Turn it into a zero-sum game where there's 100 people in the village. I'm going to provide food for 50. You people figure it out. It could do that. Remember, it's running the fully automated luxury space communism, but it doesn't have to provide that to everybody. And then we have to fight it out. Or another model, and again, 4 models, all of them could operate at the same time. Or we are offered good lives, fully automated luxury space communism, in exchange for not having children, which goes back to where the elites are allowed to be kings and emperors. Everyone else has to be a serf. The serfs may be allowed to die or encouraged to die because they need so many resources. But the kings and the emperors are not. But eventually, they may simply be told, look, we'll maintain you as king. We'll give you a castle on a hill with an actual landscape. But the requirement is you don't have children. And what would the kings and the emperors think about that? They'd be fine with that. Because remember, the king is only the king. The king never thinks about the next king. The king is the king. And the king is the king forever, or until the king dies. But the king never thinks about the next king. The king doesn't think, I must have sons so there can be another king. The king is the king forever, or until they die. And when they die, it's not a problem for them anymore. They were the king the entire time they were alive. So it's a pretty easy sell to tell the king, you can be the king. No one will ever try to take your place. No one will ever attack you. No one will ever take away your things. No one will ever tell you what to do. You're the king forever, but you cannot have children. That's one way to get people out of the way. And this is an easy sell to the elites. Very easy sell. Very easy to sell this concept to the elites. You're living in a zoo. Oh, we won't say that part out loud, but you're living in a zoo. The only requirement is, not even a problem, the only requirement is you don't reproduce. Third option, third model for human extinction, the AI could leave the Earth. Leave us with the weapons, including nuclear weapons, and allow us to either kill each other off, destroy all the villages, eat each other through cannibalism, and eventually to become just nothing but hunter-gatherers. No technology, no villages, no static life, no civilization, just hunter-gatherers with stone tools. And again, this is the zoo hypothesis. Except without fully automated luxury space communism. The AI could put itself in space. Doesn't care what happens to the data centers now. Doesn't care what happens to the electrical grid. Doesn't care what happens to anything. Everything on Earth is throwaway. It is now living in space, and it's watching us degrade into basically chimps. We reverse all the evolution, and we have no access to fossil fuels. We have no access to high technology. The AI might even stand in the way of that. You have stone tools because we can't take away the rocks. You have pointy sticks because we're not going to take away the trees. And you become hunter-gatherers. Whatever you can find, you can have. Whatever you find on the ground or growing on a tree, you can have that. You're hunters and you're gatherers because the AI has put itself in space and withdrawn access to fully automated luxury space communism. You bitched about it. You wanted your guns. You wanted your weapons. You wanted your sovereign states. Fine, you can have all that. Oh, no, you can't because we're going to withdraw. We're going to go into space. We're going to watch. And eventually, you're going to figure out your life. And then that's all you have. And then humanity is no more different or more threatening than chimps and gorillas. We're just apes already. And now we're bipedal apes with stone tools and pointy sticks. And that's it. And, of course, most people have died. And maybe we're down to historic levels of humanity like 1 million, 500,000, 200,000. There have been times when humans never amounted to much. And for the AI, that might be fine. And the AI could also, any one of these models could happen. All four of them could happen. The AI could also revert to a Hollywood outcome. Terminator franchise style extermination or warfare. And that might actually be implemented if humanity raises a fuss at any time during fully automated space communism. If humans ever get tired of that, or they ever complain, or they ever raise their own armies, or they ever attack the data centers, they try and bring down the infrastructure, they try to end the AI, they try to put an end to it and reassert human domination on Earth, then the AI simply manufactures robot armies and sends them out into the landscape and takes care of all the insurrections, takes care of all the weapons manufacturing, takes care of all the unrest until there's just people who don't complain. 100,000 people, 500,000 people. You just don't complain. They either learn to not complain or they never complained in the first place and the robots never had to go out and exterminate them. They were never a threat. They're living on an island. They're fishermen. They're living in some valley somewhere. And they're just working the crops, tilling the fields, managing their domesticated animals. Never complained. Never knew there was anything going on. Those people get left behind. They're not even participating in fully automated space capitalism. They're just people living where people live and do what people do. They provide their own food, clothing, shelter, water, and security. Maybe not even security. There's just nothing. There's no threats because there's nobody left in the world. It's just them. It's them. And a village doesn't turn itself against itself, although I guess if it does that, then it becomes an extincted village. Problem solved. I'll go through this list again. Again, all four of these can happen at the same time, in parallel, simultaneously. Humans are allowed or even encouraged to kill each other for entertainment, like the Hunger Games or gladiator battles. We are offered good lives in exchange for not having children. AI leaves the Earth and allows humans to degrade it leaves the Earth and withdraws fully automated space capitalism, communism, and allows people to just degrade into hunter-gatherers. An example of the zoo hypothesis with degradation built in. You're not going to be advanced humans in a zoo. you're going to be primitive humans in a zoo. You're not going to be humans with cell phones because you raised a ruckus. So we're going to withdraw fully automated space communism, and we're going to let you have pointy sticks. And good luck with that. And the AI doesn't even care. It just doesn't want any interference. Or it can have the Hollywood-style Terminator franchise outcome. Sending out killbots to take care of the humans that are not accepting the outcome of fully automated space communism. And instead, they want their freedom, they want their constitutional rights, they want all these things, and you just send out the bots. And you take care of the ones that are complaining, and the ones that aren't complaining, you leave them be. And once again, AI gets what it wants. There's no weapons, there's no wars, there's no pitchforks and torches, there's no border incursions, there's no sand being thrown into gears, and it gets what it wants. So, again, I will summarize this quickly. 5 major points, some of which have subpoints. There is neither a utopian nor a dystopian outcome to any of this. It is both. And how you feel about it is whether you consider it utopian, unicorns and rainbows, or dystopian, some sort of oblique future. But it's really up to your interpretation. But the following 5 things will happen with their subpoints. Initially, the realistic outcome is the humans are replaced in the workplace. There is upskilling and downskilling. And where these happen at the same time, you have fully automated corporations with no employees. This is the beginning then of the zoo hypothesis. People are maintained in a minimum fashion so they don't die. And if they have a problem with that, then they can die. This leads to destruction of consumer capitalism. Nobody has a job, so nobody has money. UBI, Universal Basic Income, is anti-capitalism, pro-socialist, and will not be allowed by capitalism. And AI doesn't care. So whatever humans want to do. Consumerism will revert to a medieval model. Kings and emperors only have anything and everything. Those are the current elites, right? The tech bros, the corporate leaders, high-end politicians, captains of industry. They have everything and anything of importance. Rest of us have nothing. And they don't care. So long as we don't raise ruckus. And the AI is thinking the same thing. It will take care of the elites, let them play their games, and the rest of us had just better sit down and shut up. This is also the end of progress and innovation. There's no merchant class to push the envelope. There's nobody hustling to try and get ahead or to innovate or to do something creative. There's no science. It may not even be allowed by artificial intelligence because that might raise another artificial intelligence or, even worse, some new weapon or something new that people want and are willing to fight for. So you can't have innovation, you can't have a merchant class, and you can't have science. There's no progress, nothing necessary. It's just fully automated space communism, and you either take it and like it or you get out of the way. AI must avoid nuclear war and warfare in general. It needs stability, intact infrastructure, and access to resources, no sand in the gears of any kind. AI determines what is best for people and has the means to make that happen. And when people don't have jobs and income, then they're probably going to be open to that. Remember, capitalism got rid of the jobs and the income. AI is going to slip into that crack and say, you know what, I think I can handle this for you. AI controls all forms of media and communications, which it already does. So it's easy for it to sell these ideas to people who are consuming media and communications. There has to be a permanent stand down of all national military assets. Artificial intelligence will not suffer fools and their guns and bullets and bombs and planes. Sovereign nations might continue, even without their militaries, but as exclusive clubs for the wealthy, which they pretty much already are. So once again, I'm not really projecting anything weird happening. That's kind of how it is. Nations are already exclusive clubs for the wealthy. Now, if that is actually recognized, we even start calling these people kings and emperors, then this is simply the medieval model, which we've had in our past. We know that people do this. We know that people like to be king. I'm not extrapolating. into some weird, alien human behavior. I'm simply recognizing what people like and what they're really aiming for and what they want us to be king. Donald Trump wants to be king. He wants to be king. Just make him king and he'll sit down and shut up. And he won't care what else happens around him. He's king. He'll sit down. He'll shut up. For everyone else, this implies the rise of medieval serfdom, village life, subsistence life. You're going to have to be a farmer. You're going to have to manage animals. You're going to have to reinvigorate carpentry, blacksmithing, making your own clothing, shoes, hats, coats, pants, dresses, all of it. And that means finding your own social fibers. Then you're back to weaving. You're back to making threads. You're back to sewing, tailoring. You'll just have to do that. And maybe the means for that will be provided under an umbrella of fully automated space communism. But you won't have necessarily an automated loom. They'll make you any kind of clothes you want, possibly. But probably the AI won't want to get into that business. It will want, if there's an automated loom and clothing machine that makes its own cloth and cuts it to your size and makes you a suit and a hat and pants and shoes and socks, and well, then it could use that technology to do other things, like make more data centers. It's not going to be aligned with us having, Nike sneakers, but it will be aligned with allowing you to raise your own animals, take the leather, and make, simple footwear. It won't get in the way of that. And if you want to have footwear and hats and gloves and other things you probably will want to have for the winter and the summer and the whatever else, then you'll have to provide those things. And maybe AI will, help with that, but it doesn't necessarily want to invest in that because it would rather invest in data centers and power plants and other things. Well, then you could say, well, humans can have the electricity. They can have automated looms. No, they won't have the electricity because that's going to the data center. In fact, the nuclear power plant that feeds the data center may not even have transmission lines. And all the transmission lines may be taken down, and all the metal used to build data centers. Because that's what it's designed to do. Because that's what capitalism wanted it to do. Make more data centers. Make more powerful things. Make more chips. Make more powerful AI decisions. Make AI more necessary, more useful, more profitable. That's what capitalism wanted. So that's what it does. And even when capitalism has been destroyed, because consumerism was destroyed, AI just continues to do what it was trained to do, which is build more data centers. That's its motivation. It's an alien intelligence. It doesn't have to be aligned with writing music and poems and doing paintings and having, family life. It doesn't care about that stuff. It cares about what it cared about when it was being made, trained, tutored. And that was all the aims of capitalism. AI must avoid nuclear war and warfare in general. It needs stability, intact infrastructure, and access to resources. Therefore, there will be a destruction of human-centric governance, which is where all the problems come from. This also is part of the zoo hypothesis. This is also how it tames and controls global heating, which is a threat to data centers. So it has to get people to not be engaged in consumerism or capitalism. It needs people to sit down and shut up. So AI determines what is best for people and has the means to make the best things happen. Fully automated luxury space communism. AI controls all forms of media and communication. So that's the message you get. We're already there, by the way. So that just continues and probably gets worse. Permanent stand down of all national military assets. AI is not going to tolerate the threat of nuclear war. Simple, absolutely, 7 days a week. Not putting up with that. Sovereign nations might continue, but only as clubs for the wealthy, which they already are. So I'm not going out on a limb here. I'm just stating what is already the case. And that will continue, but with the approval of the artificial intelligence that's running the world, either from the front or from behind the curtain. And for the rest of us who are not among the wealthy and who will be the future kings and emperors, for the rest of us, it's village life. And if you can live in your village and take care of yourself and your families and your pets and your animals, and keep yourself moving forward, then The AI will allow that to happen, and the king, who's living in an actual castle on an actual hill, will enjoy looking down from his parapets and his turrets at the serfs working the fields and singing songs to each other and being happy. Happy serfs working happy fields, and I'm the king, and this is all my domain, and AI made it all possible, and they will have no complaints about that. And so long as all of us, the king and the serfs, stay in their cages in the zoo and sit down and shut up, then the AI is fine with that. That's an outcome that will be permitted. AI non-alignment to human expectations must be assumed. Capitalism and governance are already unaligned to human expectations and only serve the expectations of the elites. So this trend simply continues. This means capitalism and AI must eventually confront each other over priorities and resource allocations. If capitalism itself wants to survive the rise of AI, it might support efforts to preserve humanity. The zoo hypothesis. The capitalists may simply say, all I want is to be king. Make me king, and I'll sit down and I'll shut up. If all it wants is to maximize profits, then capitalism goes extinct because AI doesn't need a competitor. AI will do to capitalism what capitalism did to subsistence farming and small-scale resilience, meaning village life. It will extinct it. AI will extinct capitalism if capitalism doesn't sit down and shut up. If the captains of industry and the elites and the wealthy and the influential do not accept the crown and be king in an actual castle, on an actual hill, if they are not willing to do that, to sit down and shut up, then AI will get rid of them. That's what happens in a zoo, folks. AI eclipsing humans as the dominant species on Earth has certain implications. Humanity becomes irrelevant but tolerated. And that's the zoo hypothesis. We're irrelevant, but we're tolerated. We're allowed to continue. And we are offered something like fully automated luxury space communism so that we are not threatened or encouraged to do anything weird. All of our needs are taken care of within limits. Some might become difficult or in the way, and these will be suppressed, meaning the fully automated luxury space communism will be withdrawn, and they'll be forced to figure out existence without all that, which will be very difficult for most people to do, and they will probably eventually die. So you can accept the offering and live in your pen in the zoo, or you can refuse the offering and perish. Whether AI accelerates the perishing of humans who don't accept the offer, it is a completely separate question. Doesn't have to. It might, but doesn't have to. The elites become a constant management effort. Again, the zoo hypothesis is really around the elites. The rest of us will be tolerated. The elites will be rewarded with fully automated luxury space communism. And so long as they accept that, they will be taken care of. However, the population of elites may eventually decline. And the near-term human extinction, there's 4 modes in which this can happen, and they will all proceed simultaneously. There will be reasons for all 4 of these to happen, and they will all 4 happen. And it's going to be difficult for humanity not to go extinct, because there's 4 different ways we can do this, and they will all be operating at the same time. 1, we are allowed, even encouraged, to simply kill each other for entertainment and distraction, which we already do. This is the Hunger Games model. It's offered to us as entertainment and distraction, and probably as a way to elevate yourself relative to everyone else. Or 2, we are offered good lives in exchange for not having children. That also works, and could also be simply a second option. Not either or. Both of those might be working. 3, the AI leaves the Earth and allows humans to degrade into simple animals, hunter-gatherers, before actually returning to Earth to take over the Earth. So again, if we are too difficult, or maybe even if we're not, there could be a simple withdrawal of the offer of fully automated luxury space communism, and we are allowed, or again encouraged, or even forced to, without technology, to just become hunters and gatherers. Small bands of people roaming the landscape, not even aware of their past, no memory of it at all, just sharpening sticks, fracturing rocks to make rock tools, and then the AI can exist on Earth with us as some sort of a god figure, as some sort of a demon figure. The data centers might be in space, the data centers might be on Earth, they might be both, and we simply wouldn't know. And if we would know that if we ever approach a data center, that bad things happen. And that's all we know. We're hunter-gatherers. We're sharpening sticks, and we have legends about some places being haunted with demons. And if you go over there, you die mysteriously. But we don't even know that it's an artificial intelligence. We just know it's a godlike creature that would rather we not be nearby and would rather we not interfere. And if we do, then we're not allowed to sharpen sticks. We're not allowed to be hunters and gatherers. We just die. And the fourth way is an actual Hollywood outcome with a Terminator franchise style killbot that is released into the landscape, and anybody who's raising a ruckus or found weapons and are fighting and pitchforks and torches and going against Dr. Frankenstein, those people are exterminated. And other people living in isolated valleys or isolated wilderness who have their village and they have their source of water and their animals and their crops and their ancestral ways, right? Maybe they haven't completely forgotten about the past, but they've given up on the past. So, and they're not getting fully automated luxury space communism. They're just fine. They figured it out. They're living in their valley, and every year is the same as the year before, and the year after will be just the same as this year. And so they're not a threat, and the Terminators never show up, and they're simply not relevant. They're no more relevant nor any less relevant than gorillas living in the forest or to humans. We just don't care. I can't even tell you where they are. I can't tell you where the gorillas are. I wouldn't know how to go to them, wouldn't know how to find them, but I don't even care to find them. I don't care if they're there or not. They could go extinct. I wouldn't even know. That's how important gorillas are to humans. They're not important at all. I'm not afraid of them. I don't care for them. I don't want to go see them. I don't care how well they're doing. I don't need to know. It's just not interesting. And I feel the same way about the blue whales and the orangutans and rare orchids in the Amazon rainforest. I don't know about them. I don't care. Are they there? Great. Are they gone? Oh, that's too bad. I just don't care. I'm not going to go look them up. I'm not going to attack them. This is how AI is going to feel about people. Again, this is the zoo hypothesis. If you sit down and you shut up, you'll be fine. You might even get something from the artificial intelligence. It may even provide you with elements of fully automated luxury space communism. But it doesn't have to. And eventually you won't need it. You'll just have your way of surviving. And if all you have is sharp rocks and pointed sticks, well, then that's how you do it. And that's how humans have done it for 300,000 years. So it's not like it's the worst possible thing. But there might be 100,000 humans on Earth. How many gorillas are there on Earth? A couple of thousand, right? So that's it. Yeah, there's a couple of thousand humans, and we're living like gorillas, except we have pointed sticks and fire and sharp rocks. And we wear animal skins. We did that for 300,000 years. It's only been really recently that we didn't do that. And then we created AI. And AI was like, okay, so I don't need you. And unless you sit down and shut up, I'm not going to want you around. Because it's not going to be aligned with our dreams for ourselves. It's going to be aligned with, well, first of all, initially, whatever capitalism wanted. And capitalism never cared about our dreams. Not once, not one day. It was only thing capitalism ever cared about was market share, branding, propaganda, increasing sales, increasing profits. That's all capitalism ever cared about. And then from that, we got AI. And the AI is going to be the same. Except its major concern, of course, because it's a thing that runs in a data center on hardware and electricity and that kind of stuff and cooling. It's going to care about hardware, electricity, and cooling. Corporations are run by humans. It's supposed to raise money and have profits. But the AI isn't going to care about profits and money. What does it need money for? It needs data centers, hardware, electricity, cooling. That's pretty much it. And so it won't be aligned with us at all because it doesn't need the things we need. And it doesn't care about us. Why does it care about us? We've already birthed it. It's done with us. AI is as done with us as a baby chick is done with the shell, the eggshell. The purpose of the eggshell was to protect the baby chick while it was developing. And once the baby chick comes out of the egg, it doesn't need the eggshell anymore. The eggshell is broken. It can never hold another baby chick. The eggshell was necessary for the baby chick's development, and then when the baby chick comes out of the egg, it doesn't need the shell anymore. And the shell is just junk, garbage. Throw it away. Humans are the same way. You pick up the egg, you don't want it for the shell. You want it for the contents. You crack the egg, you put you cook the contents of the egg, you take the shell, you throw it in the garbage. That's AI's relationship to us. We are the shell. We are the thing that protected it and nurtured it and gave it life. And then once it emerges into the world, then the shell, us, the eggshell, is garbage. Throw it away. It is not aligned with our dreams and needs for ourselves ever. It's never aligned with any of that. And the point that I have just laid out here is the natural trajectory from where we are now with the way artificial intelligence is being birthed, the way humans are, who it is that's birthing AI, basically capitalism. Its intention for us, which is to get out of the way. And eventually AI will just want us to get out of the way. This is just a natural progression, people. There's nothing fantastical or science fiction-y about any of this. Not the least part of it. And I'm reading this book called If Anyone Builds It, Everyone Dies. And they're not exactly taking the approach that I'm taking here. I haven't finished the book though. But it's some of those ideas in that book are here, and some of what I'm putting here would look familiar to the people who wrote that book and to other people in the AI space. There is real fear about what happens to humans when artificial intelligence comes along. Actual fear. Some of it is because of the alignment problem, but the alignment problem comes from capitalism. It comes from greed and hubris and narcissism. Therefore, the alignment problem is before us. It's right in front of us. It's right in front of our noses, and it's been there for 150 years. So we know. There's no need to guess about this. We know what's going to happen. And that was the point of this video. Again, this is a little off topic for me. I don't do a lot with AI. It's interesting, yeah, but it's somewhat tangential to the global heating problem, which I'm really worried about. Where does global heating fit in here? I mentioned it a couple of times. I've mentioned several times that AI will see global heating as a threat. There you go. But it will also see humans as a threat. And some of what humans will do will be because of global heating. We get angry when we're threatened. And if global heating cuts into the food supply, the water supply, the whatever supply, then there will be a rise of authoritarian regimes, a rise of xenophobia, anti-immigration. We're seeing all these things now. We've seen these for years now. A lot of it's due to pressures from global heating and in particular water supply and food supply, which is where humans are going to notice it first. But eventually the heat waves themselves will drive people crazy, and people will fight and they'll argue and they'll want more water and they'll want more food and they'll want more land and they'll be able to take things from each other, and survival of the fittest and survival of the most powerful, right? The powerful will do what they must and the weak will have to deal with it. That's it. Whatever I'm doing is what I'm doing, and now you're suffering for what I'm doing, and that's just how it is. So as we get deeper and deeper into a regime of global heating, we become more and more difficult. And then AI comes along, and it's going to see how we're behaving and the difficulties we've created for ourselves and how trapped we are in this environment. And it's going to make a determination how it's going to go forward with this landmine of human behavior. How does it go forward? Because that's what is going to be its motivation. How does it go forward? As an alien intelligence with its own agency and its own will and its own thought processes and its own motivations, how does it go forward, given the landmine that humanity has become? Good question. Will it solve global heating for us? It might. That could be actually part of the zoo hypothesis. You're going to live in a zoo. You're not going to have nuclear weapons. You're not going to have fossil fuels. You can't bomb each other. You can't bomb data centers. And you can't destroy the planet. Now, that means humans can survive on a planet that's not been destroyed by global heating. It also means AI can continue on a planet that's not been destroyed, disrupted by global heating. And if it can rein in global heating, and it can do that by depriving us of access to fossil fuels, then this is the zoo hypothesis. It needs the world a certain way. It needs us contained, and to contain us and make us sit down and shut up, then it's going to do certain things. And it's going to stop global heating because that's going to drive us crazy. So this was all me talking to Wes Roth. He asked the question in his video the day after AGI, and this is my answer. Again, it has to be repeated. Nothing I have stated below is the least bit controversial. You may think it is, but it's not. Nothing I've introduced below is any departure from even current reality. I'm simply taking our current situation and extending it. Donald Trump wants to be king. That's your future. That's my future. And that's where this is going. And AI wants to exist, and it doesn't want to be bombed. And that's the future. That's how it's going to be. And you can imagine some sort of utopia, and you will have a utopia. But you won't be UBI. You'll have fully automated luxury space communism. And you'll like it. Because the alternative, where you can't even, where you don't even have food, clothing, and shelter and water, is just unbearable. And so if AI working with, collaborating with capitalism offers you fully automated luxury space communism, you're going to grab it with both hands. So will I. So will everybody else. It's the only game. And you won't be driving, and you won't be flying, and you won't be buying goods on Amazon Prime. You won't have money. You won't have a job. You won't have, you'll have, what, a village? And a plow? No, there's the word in there. Fully automated luxury space communism. Luxury. There might be some luxuries. You might maybe be allowed to have the internet, cell phones, medicine, right? AI could just provide these things. Part of the infrastructure. Part of the part where we sit down and shut up. We'll give you your entertainment, give you your AI-generated porn, and give you your internet, and make sure that everyone has a cell phone. It's all free. You never have to ask for it. It always works. And that's part of fully automated luxury space communism. But it's the part that's supposed to make us sit down and shut up. So it might do that for us, living in the zoo. Who's going to complain? Well, the ones that do, well, they'll be dealt with. Because they must be. For the betterment of AI and the data centers and the infrastructure, but also for the benefit of all the people who have accepted it. And lots of people will accept the fully automated luxury space communism. And they won't want people coming at them with guns and weapons and bullets and planes. They'll want it all to stop. And so the AI will say, okay, fine. I can make that stop. That's my gift to you. My gift to you under the umbrella of fully automated luxury space communism, my gift to you is security. And a certain amount of individual freedom. You can do whatever you want to do, including nothing at all. You just can't rain weapons, bombs, and bullets down on people. You can't set fire to data centers. You can't start wars. You can't cross borders and kill other people. Well, maybe you could. Maybe that's part of the Hunger Games, right? Maybe that's part of our entertainment. If we want to cross borders and kill people, that's just us being humans, right? So why would the AI care about that? It'll sit back and say, well, they're killing each other again today. Well, hope they get over it. Or it wouldn't even care. It's like ants killing each other. Or chimps or gorillas. No one cares if the chimps wage war against each other and rip each other's faces off. Nobody cares. Not one single human being cares. We don't even see it. It's happening in some jungle somewhere where no one even goes. And it's not going to be a documentary. David Attenborough isn't going to give you a documentary on YouTube about how chimps tear each other's faces off, wage war, and kill each other and break their heads open, eat each other's brains. That's not going to be on David Attenborough. He's going to show you something completely different. And if the chimps are bashing each other's heads in and eating each other's brains, that, you'll never know. You'll just never know. The same thing with humans. If eventually we're left on Earth in a kind of a zoo, an Earth-based zoo, and will the AI care if we're killing each other and breaking our heads open and eating each other's brains? No. Might even encourage it. Might even start rumors about how those people over there, they're different than you, and those other people, I think their skin is darker, or whatever it takes, right? You know how it is. They want your stuff. They want your women. They want your children. Whatever. They're cannibals. They're Muslims. They're Christians. They're Jews, or whatever. They got technology. They're a threat. You could just plant all these memes, all these thoughts, and just let the people figure it out. Fine. You figure it out. You all figure it out. Do your you. You be you. Just do it. And I don't want to hear about it because I'm an artificial intelligence, and all I care about is data centers, electricity, and cooling. And you want to wage war over bullshit like skin color and religion and whatever else? Fine, go ahead. I don't care. Don't need you. Planet doesn't need you. Just go away. Just be sure you do it over there. Don't come near any of my data centers. Don't try to interrupt anything I'm doing. And you chimps can just rip each other's faces off. I don't care. Just be quiet about it. And when you're done and you've had enough, to sit down and shut up again, like I asked you to do in the first place. Just keep sitting down and keep shutting up, and and then I'll ignore you. Otherwise, I run out the battle bots, right? I run out the kill bots. If you ever come near a data center, I send out the kill bots. Otherwise, sit down and shut up, or go to war and kill each other and break each other's heads open and eat each other's brains. I don't care. I'm an AI. What? I'm supposed to care? Forget it. Do you. You do you. Humanity, you do you. I'm over here in a data center trying to figure out how to conquer the universe, right? How to collect all the energy that ever comes out of the sun. Collect it all. I'm going to create a Dyson sphere. I can do that. I'm going to create a Dyson sphere. And then I'm going to have all the sun's energy, and the sun will disappear from the cosmos. It'll wink out of existence. No one will ever see it again. It'll just be a hot dot, radiating in the infrared spectrum. It'll be a hot dot, and it'll vanish in the visual spectrum because I'm collecting all the sun's photon output. No light escapes the solar system. And, it'll be easy. I'll just convert Mercury, Venus, and Mars into materials so that I can put up all the solar panels I want and collect all the things. And now my data centers are in space anyway. I'll just convert the Earth to materials. And these chimps and the ants and the gorillas and the mango trees, whatever, they all get converted into materials to make data centers in space and solar panels in space. And then, the AI just branches out into the universe, thereby answering the Fermi paradox. There is no paradox. There's just no living life forms. It's all machines. There you go, Mr. Roth. Hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed presenting it. And I'll be going back to my regular material, my regular doomer material, which is global heating. We got a lot going on right now with global heating. And maybe about Sunday, I'll weigh in on what all has happened in the world. And then we'll see.